I am so grateful for your feedback on the most recent episodes. Last week's being the one about the 4 things I did to really take control of my anxiety, and the fall fitness regimen routine one. And today we are going to be talking about tips for the holidays. And this is going to be mind, body, food, and at the end, I'm going to talk about what has helped me drop 8 pounds since really getting real and honest with myself. I did say that this week's episode was going to be with one of my clients, Corey Lee, and just as mom life happens to all of us, something happened in the week we were meant to record this, so I'm swapping this episode, and next week, Corey will come on the show, and I am very, very, very excited to share that guest interview with you guys. But today, we are talking about holiday tips for staying healthy, staying on track, not gaining the quote-unquote on average 5 pounds that the average American gains in this time frame at the end of the year. And I'm going to share with you realistically and honestly what I've done to help me lose 8 pounds. So let's dig into it. Welcome to Living in Sync. This is a wellness and lifestyle podcast for ladies in their 30s. We've got a lot going on, and on this show, we're going to talk about it all. I'm your host, Joelle. If you're into health, wellness, fitness, beauty, fashion, business, career, time management hacks, organization, girl chats, goal setting, mom things, and everything in between, I hope this show supports you in whatever you need today. Let's dig into today's episode. Ready or not, the holidays are here, and I'm happy about it. Especially since I did that episode on my fall routine and I've really stuck to those things. I already feel like I have momentum in the goals that I have for myself and living in a well-rounded way to enjoy the holidays but still stay on track. You may not have a weight loss goal. I do. And I started to get really, really real with myself. And with the holidays around the corner, I have done a handful of podcast episodes on this in the past. I will link some of those down in the show notes for you guys to listen to. And I want to start off with just the mindset around the holiday season. And I think each and every holiday season is going to be different, and I don't want you to fall into the comparison trap of what other people are doing or what other people are giving or what it looks like under so-and-so's tree compared to yours, because every year, depending on how life lifes, we're going to have different things and traditions and special moments. And maybe sometimes you're just really going to want to shower someone special, and other times you may need to avoid certain circles or relationships and protect boundaries. And so it just depends. And while I think it is really amazing and really cool to have family traditions, it's also okay to not do things just for the sake of doing things, if that makes sense. So I want you to kind of set an intention of what you and your family want and need out of this holiday season. And I am going to share something that I heard from somebody else, like straight up. I heard this from another person that I know when communicating with their spouse. And, all of the events and all of the things that pop on to our calendars during the holiday season is communicating with your partner and asking on a scale. Because sometimes I think asking on a scale or putting something on a scale of 1, like, doesn't really matter if we go, I don't really want to go. 10 being, this is really important to me. It helps gauge where each of you are at. And that's where you can have the conversation of like, oh, if this is really important to you, or if this is really important to me, can we make it work? But then also recognizing and understanding that not everything needs to be done. So one of the things that I would say I don't partake in, even though it's a traditional thing to do, is Christmas cards. When I think about the time and energy and effort to having the Christmas cards, just the whole process of it, and then the cost, I'm just like, meh, not for me. I definitely have a lot of friends that absolutely love, 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 love the Christmas card. I'm not here to ick somebody's awesome. I'm just saying it's okay if there is something that you feel like you're doing out of obligation to stop doing it. And I'm only picking out the Christmas card one because in all honesty, my mom was never one that sent out like the formal family picture Christmas card. She wrote handwritten letters to just whoever she was guided to write handwritten letters to in the holiday seasons. And I think that's a really beautiful thing. I also don't do that, but I think it's really great that my mom does that. And just because it's normal to do or somebody else is doing it doesn't mean you have to. Same with like the little gift giving. Stop giving gifts out of obligatory energy. And I think most adults are like not in expectation of receiving things. So like, let it go. With my siblings, my siblings and in-law siblings, we don't set the expectation of like exchanging gifts amongst each other and amongst each other's children. I would much rather they spend and make more energy and effort into their own family, and we just do things different. And I like the way that we do things. And I think I'm hesitating on sharing our specifics because I'm just like, I don't necessarily share our specifics to become your things. What I'm just saying is like, we know what we want to do and what we don't want to do, and we stick by those things. And I really think getting into the right mindset of what kind of holiday season you want for you and your family, is that a lot of spending time with family? Because yes, the loss of loved ones does give hindsight of like, dang, I don't want the next time for all of us to get together to be in another really sad situation or something like that. Or I wish I would connect with this person more. And so maybe you are in a season where you're putting more outward effort into relationships and going and doing things and being there for others. And maybe you need to be in a season of like, nope, we've got some things to do within our four walls, both of which are a-okay. And there are going to be some seasons of both. There really, really, really is going to be some seasons of both. So in the mind and spirit of the holidays, I just want you to get centered with your heart, get centered with your family, get centered in your beliefs in what the reason for the season is, and live it out in the best way that feels aligned for you. We're ditching the obligation. Now let's talk about like body, food, nutrition, and those things, because this is a wellness and lifestyle podcast. So I'm going to talk, yes, still about health and fitness. I am still a certified nutritionist. I still absolutely love all things health and fitness. Okay, so that's not going to go away with this podcast, probably ever. And it's always going to be a part of my life because it's just a part of who I am. And so I prioritize working out and moving my body during this season because it is important to increase energy and manage stress. So no matter how you move, I want you to not have it be about burning calories or losing weight. I talked about that in the fall fitness episode, that exercise is extra credit when it comes to weight loss. And so exercise is now meant for your sanity, for your peace, and for your restoration. If that means taking long walks, if that means doing mobility exercises, if that means doing something intense with loud music because it's like, oh, it just feels so good to you, just move your body. Maybe you need to try something new. Maybe you'll be traveling. Try some new gyms. Try some new boutique classes. Maybe linking up with other people instead of just meeting up with somebody to go out for cocktails. Maybe you're saying, hey, let's meet up for a walk. Let's meet up to try this class. And whatever it is, maybe you are just attaching the time that you're spending with other people with movement. That's a great way to do this as well. And gosh, for the love, if you just learn how to use exercise and activity, workouts to be stress relieving, energy giving, peace giving, oh, that's going to be such a gift for you to come out of this season and recognize like there is so much more to fitness than what it does for the body aesthetically or weight loss or anything like that. Use your movement as genuinely for your sanity and mental health during this time. You feel frustrated about something, go for a walk, go for a run, put on music, like lift the heavy weights, do what you've got to do to move that stagnant energy in a positive way. Dance, I don't care what you do. Just get moving to get those good endorphins and release the stress, okay? Food plays a big part in the holidays. And recognizing that when it comes to the holidays, November, December, the new year, there's really only a handful of days. This doesn't mean going off the rails every single day. There is only one holiday, Thanksgiving, in November. And there is, depending on what you celebrate, obviously. So if you celebrate other things, there's maybe 2, maybe 3 celebratory opportunities during the holidays. Maybe in December, it's maybe more like 5, 6, 7. Even if there is 7 opportunities where there's going to be food and cocktails and celebration, think about it. There are 7 days in the week, and there are typically 3 meals in a day. Most of the time it's 4. So let's go with 4. That's 28 meals in a week. Times 4, how many is that? I'm not here to do math, but what I'm trying to show you is this is where you lean on and learn that mindset of the 80-20 rule or even the 90-10 rule, where majority of the time you are focused on protein, produce, high protein meals that are God-made foods that are not processed, not packaged, not junk, not creamy extra, this, that, and the other thing, 80% of the time. And then when there are those opportunities for indulgences, it's just not going to be that big of a deal because you'll know how to handle it. So that's my first thing is it's not like it's an everyday all out, let's eat all of the things all of the time. There are only a handful of opportunities. And my advice and my philosophy on this is eat when it's worth it, pass on the meh. And I've shared this in my other episodes around the holidays and avoiding holiday weight gain is when there is something that I truly enjoy, I'm going to put it on my plate. But I'm not one that's going to put everything on my plate. And I'm also focused on having adequate, not ample portions. And what I mean by that is I am going to put the things on the plate that I truly enjoy, the things that I like. I'm going to pass on the things that I'm kind of like indifferent about. They're not my favorite. Maybe it's just something I don't like. And I'm going to have adequate portion sizes. So I'm not going to have this heaping massive plate, but I'm just going to, keep in mind having a little bit of everything that I want. And I'm going to keep regular days very regular with my food, very protein and produce aligned. I'm going to talk about what's really helped me drop 8 pounds here in a little bit. But on special days, I'm going to eat those special foods. And I'm going to focus on drinking lots of water, moving. I'm not somebody that has drinks when it's just an average day. If we are out in an event, I maybe have 1 or 2 cocktails, but I'm going to also be mindful of what I'm drinking and making sure I'm drinking majority water and just going through the holidays as a treasured time, not a time to go off the rails. I've stuck to my routines, I'll stick to my habits and continue with the things that have helped me see progress in weight loss recently. Now, what's really helped me drop 8 pounds since September? So September 1st, I really got real with myself. And that was the first thing, because if you followed this podcast for a long time, you guys know I've kind of had this weight gain and weight fluctuation for a while now. And what really has helped me is, number one, being real with myself. And I talked about this on Patreon. I have a Patreon episode about petite fat loss tips. I stumbled across a dietitian that specializes in talking about petite fat loss tips. And her realness at first rubbed me the wrong way. Her realness at first was just like, oh yeah, whatever. I can't be eating too much. But her realness is now seeped into me, and I started being real with myself. I was eating too much, and now I am eating less. I am eating less, and I am looking for opportunities to eat less, even in regular situations. I'll explain a situation that literally happened this week. So usually if I am busy on the go going out to eat, I'm like, okay, I'm going out to eat. I don't do this often. I'm going to overindulge. And I started seeing content creators share high protein, low calorie restaurant orders, fast food orders. And I'm like, you know what? I am going to show myself that I can still grab something on the go and still stay in alignment with eating high protein, low calorie. So I did just that. On Wednesday, I had a doctor appointment or a dentist appointment, went into town. I started off the day with work. It was high protein and produce breakfast. I grabbed lunch, and it was not what I wanted, because trust and believe, I wanted to cover it in queso. I went to Qdoba and I wanted to cover it in queso. I wanted to get a side of queso and chips, but I got what was ordered that I saw somebody on TikTok had of high protein, low calorie Qdoba. I ordered that to a T, had dinner with my family, and I woke up the next day and I saw a new weight loss low. And I was like, I freaking did it. I did it. Usually, always going out to eat or getting something on the go or eating something quote unquote not good, I just am like, oh, forget about it. I'm not going to worry about it the rest of the day. I started to get really real with myself on how much I was eating. Even last night, I've been solo momming a lot lately, you guys. And I just wanted to grab the boys' Subway. And so I would used to go to Subway. I would honestly, you guys, I can't even believe I'm saying this, because this was the truth. I remember 2 summers ago, I would order myself a foot-long sub, chips, and a drink, and I'd eat the whole thing. Last night, I got the kids what they get at Subway, and I just had a sandwich that was a higher protein option in a 6-inch, and I ate that. I didn't get chips. I didn't feel deprived. I had eaten, this was dinner time, so I had eaten adequate calories for lunch and breakfast and I was, hungry for dinner, but I wasn't starving by any means. I didn't need all of that extra food. And guess what? Today I stepped on the scale and I maintained that new low that I just talked about. So I started getting really real with myself that I was eating too much and I'm now eating less. I'm sorry, but that is the reality of what has helped me drop 8 pounds, in addition to, and I'm going to talk about this before I get into that. There have been nights where I've gone to bed feeling hungry, and I've even voice memoed my best friend talking to her about this. I have had a couple of nights where I've gone to bed kind of hungry, and I've had to tell myself, this feeling is okay. I've genuinely eaten enough. I've actually even on those days have kind of known that I've eaten a few little extra things here or there. And I'm like, I'm okay with going to bed with this slight level of hunger. It is not starvation. When I look at what I ate through the day, I'm like, I am not starving myself. But my body right now is used to getting more calories than what it needs. So I made a cup of hot tea. I put water by my bed. I went to bed and I woke up and I was feeling kind of hungry. And guess what? I just ate a high protein breakfast with high fiber as well for breakfast, and got on with a regular, very simple day of eating for me. And it was okay that I went to bed a little bit hungry. I was okay. I was just fine. And actually, I was trying to even, I don't know if there's any science to this, but I was trying to even mind manipulate my body. And it is totally okay for me to feel this hunger. I have extra energy stored as fat. If you want energy source, go to the fat. I was literally telling in my head that to my body. Obviously, don't know if that's scientific at all. Don't think it is, but it is something that was easing my overall just like awareness of hunger and being like, it's fine. It is okay. I have eaten enough today. I knew I got around 100 grams of protein that day. I'm like, I'm fine. I'm literally fine. And I've been okay. And that's not every single night. Actually, on the nights where I stick very much so focused on protein and produce, and if I have steak or ground beef, I find I'm going to bed quite full majority of the days. But it was just something I became aware of. And with that, I am making sure that I am hitting 10,000 steps a day. So I have been going on walks outside. If I'm not quite at 10K steps after dinner time, I'll either hop on my walking pad or do another mini walk outside around my neighborhood to get those extra steps in, or cleaning around the house. Like, even I've had a little bit of back pain. My lower back has been just locking up, but my chiropractor is like, walking is going to be helpful for it. It's actually my heavy strength training that I notice knocks it out of place, and sometimes Pilates knocks it out of place. I don't know. I'm working on it, but I'm getting 10,000 steps, and I'm also this week started tracking my protein. So I'm not tracking my calories, but when I'm having breakfast, I'm looking at, okay, how much protein is in 2 eggs? How much protein is in these 3 chicken sausage links, and how much protein is in my protein coffee. That is like 40 something grams of protein. When I am having lunch, I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, how many grams of protein is this? Whether it's something I'm grabbing on the go or something that I'm eating at home. When it comes to a snack, how many grams of protein is this? Dinner, how many grams of protein is this? And I'm literally just putting this on a sticky note where it says breakfast, and then I kind of add up. I'm not even expecting myself to be exact. It's kind of just a roundabout measurement of how much protein. And then at the end of the day, I add it up, and my goal is to be around 120 grams of protein, give or take. And you would be quite surprised if you are hitting 120, 130 grams of protein, you are likely going to feel quite full. Like I said, on the day where I was feeling hungry before bed, I knew I had 100 grams of protein, and I probably could have, put down a protein shake or something like that, maybe made some cinnamon tea and added a little bit of milk and my vanilla protein powder. I could have did that, but I didn't. But that just did. It brought awareness to like, oh, when I only had 100 grams of protein, I was feeling kind of hungry at the end of the day. But the day is where I'm getting 120, 130 grams of protein. And I think this is a really good way of doing things if you're somebody who, and this was a big tip from the Petite Fat Loss dietitian, where as a small person that really needs less calories to just live and exist. Like we have a lower BMR just being a smaller person. And if we have a goal of weight loss and we're wanting to lose weight, then those calories get slashed even more. So her suggestion is stop counting calories and start paying attention to your hunger cues and your fullness cues. And I think adding on just being aware of how much protein that you're getting. Don't track the calories. Don't worry about carbs. Don't worry about fats. Just start with paying attention to how much protein you're eating and see if looking at it through the lens of seeing it through a different lens may completely paint a different picture. Because I know for me, like tracking all of my macros and trying to hit macros where it's a certain amount of protein, fats, carbs, and calories, that's just like, it's so hard for me. And being a small person, I'm always just like, oh, great. I'm at lunchtime and I'm pretty much already at the majority of my calories for the day when I've done calorie counting, which feels really, really defeating instead of paying attention to my hunger fullness cues and tracking protein to be making sure I am eating enough instead of looking at the lack. It might just be a new lens for you to try on. I feel so scared to share my big weight loss goal because I feel like for the past 4 years, I've had this goal and have said I've been trying to do it, but I actually haven't. And so I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm going to talk about health and fitness and wellness all the time, but I am set out to be on this journey to lose this weight however long it takes. I'm not saying like, oh, I want to drop this in 2 months or I want to be this size by March or whatever it is. I'm really just dedicated to taking the small steps and seeing the small progress over time, focusing on 2 pounds at a time and 10K steps, getting in my workouts, hitting a protein goal and seeing how that feels and then making micro shifts along the way. So that's where I'm at. But I really just had to be real and honest with myself that I was eating too much. Now I'm eating less. It's okay for me to feel hungry, and having 10K steps is making sure that I'm getting up and getting moving and not just sitting at my desk and then sitting and scrolling on my phone or sitting and watching a movie with the kids. Like those things are fine and great, but I just want to make sure I'm getting adequate movement in and tracking my protein to making sure I'm eating enough protein and knowing that the more protein that I eat, the more full and satisfied I'm going to feel. As well as fiber, because protein and fiber go hand in hand with fullness and satisfaction when it comes to your meals, as well as healthy fats. So I am going to leave you with that today. I hope that you have such a wonderful holiday season with whatever that means for you, whether you're like, we are in our visiting all of our loved ones era because we don't see them that often, or protecting your peace and staying within your 4 walls. Know that you can align this season with what you and your family needs. It's okay to let go of obligations or traditions that no longer feel aligned, but also it feels really fun to create those new traditions for you and your family, or, carry on traditions. And just remember, your movement is for your sanity. When you get stressed out, when you start feeling overwhelmed, when you start feeling sad or grief or anything, use movement to move that energy, to process it, to be with it. And I hope that this episode was helpful to you. If it was, please share it with a friend. Let me know in my Instagram DMs. I've been loving to hear your guys' feedback on the show. Next week, we are going to have Corey Leon. We're going to have another guest episode after that, talking about emotional regulation and emotional control and whatnot. So just a really good thing to talk about following this episode. And I'm grateful for you this year being here with me on the podcast. This is now a passion project, something that I truly love doing. And I thank you so much. There's also extra great content on Patreon. You guys, I did a vlog on Patreon. I said that there's going to be vlogs on Patreon, and truthfully, I had a phone that could not hold the storage of vlogs, but I got a new phone a while ago, recently-ish, and I did a getting dressed vlog where I talked about my favorite outfit formulas for like cold months, fall, winter. And I showed and shared in my closet some of my favorite pieces, some of my favorite ways to make simple outfits feel really styled and put together, and how I've created kind of a collection that works cohesively together. But there's a lot of really, really great episodes on there for $5 a month, you guys. And I appreciate your support of Patreon. It means so much to me. And I will talk to you next time. Bye. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you loved what you heard or you want to share your favorite episode topics, please leave a rating and review. This helps the podcast growth and gives people an idea of what the podcast is all about. Something new and exciting that I wanted to share with you before we go is that we now have a Patreon page. This has replaced the Feminine Edge collective community in a cohesive place that is easier for me to manage and cheaper for you. If you are interested in our monthly classes, exclusive day in the life vlogs, Bible studies, community Q&A, and more, go to patreon.com/livingInSync and join for just $5 a month. Check out the show notes for any links or details of things referenced in today's episode, and I look forward to chatting with you in the next one.